The Mike White situation is a good thing for the New York Jets, not a bad thing. I will explain why in this video. We will talk Jets Bills and we will answer some of your questions at the end of this video. But first, I want to introduce myself. For those new to the channel, my name is Jake Asman. This is the Jake Asman Show. If you're new to the channel, we talk Jets, we talk New York sports, and I post clips from my radio show either on Sports Map Radio or ESPN Radio here in Houston. You can help me out by subscribing right over here. I'm almost at 8,000 subs, so it will go a long way if you could help support the channel. Subscribe button right here, like button down below. Thanks for watching the show, and thank you for your continued support. Now, before we talk New York Jets and Mike White, big shout out to Ithaca College. Big game tomorrow against SUNY Cortland. The Cortica Jug is on the line. They didn't play the game last year because of COVID, so Ithaca trying to win their fourth straight Cortica Jug. So I want to give some love to my alma mater at the beginning of this video. Ithaca, Cortland, big time Division III football matchup, the biggest little game in the nation, Sports Illustrated once called it. So some love for the Ithaca College Bombers. I hope they take down Cortland on Saturday. And oh, by the way, the game next year in 2022 will be played at Yankee Stadium after the 2019 game was played at MetLife Stadium. Biggest game MetLife Stadium's had since the Giants actually had a playoff game there in 2012 against the Falcons. So I'm pumped up, and go Ithaca College Bombers. I'm also drinking some coffee today out of my New York Jets Hall of Fame mug. Why am I drinking it out of my Hall of Fame mug? Well, that's because Mike White apparently is a Hall of Famer already, according to some. Apparently the Jets have found their Tom Brady, right? I mean, Zach Wilson knocked out of the game in New England on a dirty hit, kind of similar to what happened with Drew Bledsoe, with Mo Lewis. So the Jets found their Brady, right? So that's why I'm drinking out of my Hall of Fame mug. In all seriousness, though, let's talk about this Mike White situation, because by now you know Mike White's going to start at quarterback against the Buffalo Bills. But here's the thing. This is not a bad thing for the New York Jets. My buddy Will Parkinson, who's been on this channel a bunch and does a great job hosting the Turn on the Jets podcast, he made this point on Twitter, and I could not agree with him more. The Mike White, Zach Wilson situation is a good thing for the Jets, and also a good thing for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was handed the New York Jets starting quarterback job. He was handed it. Now, to me at the time, that was the right decision. He's the number 2 pick. You want to give him all the reps, but he didn't have any real competition going into the NFL. And the reality is, nothing in the NFL is ever truly handed to you. Someone's always gunning for your job. Mike White talked about the fact that he thinks he should have been the first pick in the draft. Is that true? Probably not. But you know what? He has confidence in himself. So all these guys want to play. Nothing's handed to you. If you want to have a career in the league, you got to earn your job always, you know? So this, to me, is one of those scenarios where Wilson is going to get a little fire lit under his ass. He's going to have to go out there and try and show everyone that it's his job again, that he's the second pick for a reason. You know, he even talked about that at his press conference yesterday, where the New York media tried to bait him into saying something, you know, negative about Mike White. Zach wants to play. Mike wants to play. And the better they are, the more they push one another, the better long-term it is for the New York Jets. It is not a bad thing that the Jets, who have been searching for a quarterback since Joe Namath, basically, have now potentially 2 solid options at the QB spot. I'm not 100% sold on what Mike is, what his ceiling is. But I'll tell you what, I'm rooting for him to go out there against the Bills on Sunday and play really well. Because ultimately, if Mike White is as good as people think he is, right, the future Hall of Famer that some have anointed him already, look, he's going to then go out there and regardless of the circumstance, he's going to ball out. And then maybe Zach Wilson does not get his job back this year. But ultimately, what's likely going to happen, I mean, Mike White will probably be okay, but Zach Wilson will get another chance at some point this season. My prediction is he plays next week against the Miami Dolphins. But either way, I think Zach Wilson sitting, he will benefit from this situation. He will benefit from the 3 games that he's getting a chance to watch this offense run through a different quarterback. Hell, Josh Johnson ran this offense really well, given the circumstances against the Colts on Thursday Night Football. So I just don't subscribe to this idea that, oh, you know, Wilson not playing and Mike White being there complicates things for the Jets, and it's not a bad thing. Zach Wilson will have the opportunity to earn his job back and show everyone why he was picked 2nd overall. Go back to his time at BYU. My BYU Jet fans know this story well. Zach had to earn his job going into his last year. Why? because he was hurt his sophomore season. So he came out, won the job, became the starting quarterback, took over BYU, and guess what happened? He had one of the all-time great college seasons and parlayed that into being the second pick in the draft. Zach Wilson will play with a chip on his shoulder. Competition will bring out the best in him. Watching how this offense has run these last couple games, Zach could do the same thing. But the difference is Zach's got the higher ceiling because when he escapes the pocket, when the play's not there, he can still create something downfield. He could still make those Mahomes-like throws like what we saw against the Tennessee Titans, like what we saw in the second half against the Carolina Panthers. So Zach Wilson still has the higher ceiling. And I think he'll learn to take the easy throw. He'll learn to play within the structure of the offense. These are good problems to have. Zach Wilson's a rookie. He's 22 years old. Sitting for 3 games, maybe 4, depending on what Mike White does on Sunday, is not a bad thing for a young kid. It's going to push him to get better. The Jets have been searching for a franchise quarterback for decades, and now they might have 2 guys that are capable of being good quarterbacks. That's a win-win if you're the New York Jets. But what I refuse to do on this show is listen to people try and tell me that Mike White's already better than Zach Wilson. And we know that for sure, that Zach Wilson's a bust. It's nonsense. Mike White would not be able to do what he's done if he was to rust it into game action as a 5th-round pick from the Dallas Cowboys in 2018. It's not happening. Zach Wilson probably was not ready to play from week 1 on. The Jets rolled the dice and put him out there to let him get that experience. There's been some good, a la second half Carolina, Titans game. There's been a lot of bad. New England, Denver, obviously, there's been games this year where Zach has struggled. That's okay. He's a rookie. Go look at all the rookie quarterbacks. They've all had their moments. Trevor Lawrence has had his moments where he has struggled. Justin Fields, Trey Lance, even Mac Jones. Mac Jones is in the best situation, though, and has an offense where he just checks the ball down, and they have a really good defense and a Hall of Fame coach. But even Mac Jones, go look at his numbers against the Carolina Panthers this past week. It's not like he's blowing people away statistically. So anyone that's giving up on Zach Wilson after 6 games, I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. There are too many guys that struggle in the NFL at first, and they get better and better as things go on. Hell, even Sam Darnold, when he got hurt his rookie year, he came back after watching McCown run the offense and came back, and Sam led the NFL in passer rating his last 4 games of his rookie year. That's what got all of us excited about Sam Darnold going into year 2, because he had that stretch down, at the end of the year. So I just think we are way too reactionary to Mike White looking good in 1.5 games. Like, let's hope he plays well. It's a good problem to have. And I'm telling you, Zach Wilson is going to get the chance to benefit from all this at the end of the day. So overall, if Mike White's truly the guy, if he's truly going to Canton, Jet fans, then I'll tell you what, he'll go out there on Sunday and he'll ball out against the Bills. And then we'll have a conversation next week about what they should do. And I'll tell you what, if he balls out against the Bills, you know what they should do? Keep playing Mike White, because Zach Wilson's a rookie, and it's not the worst thing if he has to sit. Patrick Mahomes was the latest quarterback that actually sat for a full year, and look what happened. So I'm not against Zach sitting if Mike White's playing really well. If he doesn't play great and it's like, it's okay, then guess what? Zach Wilson will get the chance against the Dolphins, Philadelphia Eagles, Houston Texans, Jacksonville, Miami again. There's winnable games down the stretch for this Jets team, and Zach Wilson getting the chance to play will be really beneficial for him as well. So there's no problem here. There's no quarterback controversy. Take it week by week. We will see what happens on Sunday when the Jets try and take on a Bills team that's going to come in angry following a loss to Jacksonville, and a Bills team that's still favored by 12 points to win this game on Sunday. So, frankly, the Jets need more competition. So I'm not going to complain about the fact that Zach Wilson now has to go out there and try and earn his job back. That's a good thing. If he's truly worth being the second pick in the draft, he's going to thrive off that competition. And if Mike White's truly the next Tom Brady, like some of you actually think he is, then he'll go out there on Sunday and he'll play really well, and we'll have that conversation next week. I hope that happens. That's a good problem to have. I'm a damn Jet fan that has never seen consistent, competent quarterback play. If Mike White's the guy, the Jets have their lightning in the bottle moment, like the Patriots have had, like the Rams had with Kurt Warner. Like, there's been examples in the history of the league, but more times than not, Mike White's probably going to be, he's probably going to be an average quarterback, maybe below average, whatever. If that happens, okay, Zach Wilson's here, ready to take over, learn from the experience that he's received, and go out there and play well. But there's no controversy here. The Jets are in a good spot. Robert Saleh is not lying to us either. Like, the New York media trying to twist his words and say, oh, well, he's created a quarterback controversy by not declaring it's Zach Wilson's job. That's BS. He doesn't need to do that. He's honest with you, and I think we should appreciate the honesty. If Mike White throws for 400 yards on Sunday, it should be his job going forward because he's played well, and he would have earned the job. That's the key here. Earned the job. Salah's not going to lie to us. He's if he goes out there and says Mike White's our guy until Zach's healthy, and then Zach's going to be our guy again, he's lying. And I don't need my coach to lie. I think you could be honest. I think you could be honest to the guys in the locker room that football is a meritocracy. Like the best players are going to play. That's how it should be. Zach Wilson, second overall pick, but Salah's even told you it's not about where you're drafted. It's about opportunity and reps. Mike White's getting his opportunity. Let's see what he does for another game. But there's no controversy here. Take it week by week. We don't need to think about what to do with Zach Wilson at the end of the season or next year or in the offseason. Trade this, trade that. Week by week. Week by week. Let's see what Mike White does in this game on Sunday. My name is Jake Asman. You could subscribe right over here if you're new to the channel. Trying to grow this page and get to 8,000 subscribers to get to as many subs as possible over the weekend here. We will have a live post-game immediately following Jets and the Bills on Sunday, so make sure you're watching the channel then. With that being said, I want to open it up to some comments, some questions. What are you guys thinking on the Mike White versus Zach Wilson debate here? Jim writes in, Wilson is the future. Yeah, look, Wilson is the future. I agree. But let's see what Mike White does on Sunday because crazy things have happened. The Patriots gave Drew Bledsoe a $100 million contract, and he sat on the bench because Tom Brady took over. So let's see. But here's the thing. I don't want to compare the Mike White situation to the Brady situation. It's a little different. It's similar, no doubt. It's a little different. Tom Brady was drafted in the year 2000, right? The Patriots kept 4 quarterbacks that year because Belichick really liked Brady. Like there was a reason why they kept 4. They believed in Brady enough to carry 4 QBs that year. That's not normal in NFL. So it's not exactly the same thing here. Mike White's bounced around. He's been cut 11 times and signed back to the practice squad. So it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison. But look, you ride the hot hand. Let's see what happens here. I mean, there are a ton of examples of finding lightning in the bottle, and there's also a ton of examples of guys just stink. So and they're, one-hit wonders, like Matt Flynn going out there and balling out against the Lions in like week 17 with the Packers and then getting a deal in the offseason to go to Seattle. Russell Wilson beat him out. We never heard from Matt Flynn again. So there's plenty of examples of this. I just say you let it play out. You let it play out. Benji writes in, thanks for watching, Benji. Jake, if Mike throws for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Bills, do you start Zach the week after if he's healthy? I'd probably stay with Mike White if that's the case. I'll say it again. If Mike White goes out there and plays really well, then ride the hot hand and see what you have. Wilson's under contract. All right. I understand they invested a lot of money into him. I understand that after 3 years, you got to decide on the 5th-year option. But if Wilson's truly the guy, eventually when he gets the chance, he'll show you that. If Mike White's the guy, then let him keep playing and just find out. Find out. Week by week is the way to approach this. We got to see how it unfolds here. I mean, there's no reason to rush into anything with this quarterback situation. And guess what? If Mike White continues to play well, then maybe eventually the Jets could flip him into draft capital, or you have a really good backup that's under control for next year. Just be patient and see how it plays out. If the team rallies around Mike White and he's playing really well, it's not a bad problem to have. It's really not. Let's see what we got here. Jets gang is trying to argue that Mahomes didn't develop from getting benched. That's just not true. Mahomes has talked about the fact that Alex Smith was a huge help to him. He would not have been the quarterback he was in his breakout year during that 2018 season had it not been for him sitting in 2017. So there's just, it's just not true. I mean, clearly Mahomes benefited from sitting, but not every quarterback benefits from sitting either. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach here. That's the thing you got to remember here. But I do think Zach in season sitting after he's been given the starting job, basically without a semblance of competition, I don't think that's a bad thing for the New York Jets. What do we got here? All right, let's see. We got this one from Felipe's. We need to ride the White Lightning for the time being. Let Zach ride the bench to learn while White dated Dallas, but eventually we need to see if Booth LaFleur is good for Wilson. No doubt. My prediction is Zach Wilson starts next week. I don't think Mike White's going out there and throwing for 400 yards against the Bills. I'm just going to be honest with you. If that happens, I would love to see it. I would love to be wrong here. I'm just going to tell you how I feel. think it's unlikely that is to happen. But if it does happen, I'm all for it. That being said, I think we're going to see Zach Wilson again soon. Not next week. I think we're going to see Zach Wilson pretty soon along the lines here. And the reality is, yes, Zach Wilson's not only going to benefit from watching these last couple games, he's going to benefit from the drastic play calling difference since LaFleur has went up to the booth. And the Jets have told you they still believe in Zach Wilson. They're not hiring John Beck if they don't think Wilson's their guy. They're not giving up on a guy they invested the second overall pick in after 6 games because Mike White played unbelievable against the Bengals and then played well for a couple of drives against the Colts. Like, the Jets have not lost any confidence in Zach Wilson. Maybe this fan base has because it's very fickle at times and people just want to, not recognize that sometimes competition could be a good thing. But let me tell you, Booth LaFleur is going to be excellent for Zach Wilson, just like sitting is going to be excellent for Zach Wilson. Let's continue with some of your comments and questions here as we continue to roll through. Our guy V-Man writes in. V-Man, thank you so much for the contribution here to the channel. Barring a godly performance, Wilson should be the starter. He needs to get experience / chemistry in a meaningless year instead of next year when it's about the playoffs. Yeah, I agree. Wilson does need to play at some point at the end of the year, barring Mike White not continuing the ball out. If Mike White just continues to throw for 400 yards every game, then you have your guy. So let's not go crazy here. Wilson's under contract. He will get experience by continuing to practice, by sitting. Yes, he does eventually need to go out there and play, but let's worry about that. Let's worry about that if Mike White has a godly performance, as V-Man puts it. I agree. I think Wilson should play starting next week because I'm not expecting Mike White to throw for 400 yards again on Sunday. Maybe he plays well, though, and the Jets lose. Then it's like, all right, well, what do you do then? I got to see how the game unfolds. We'll talk more about this on Sunday right after the game because I just think there's too many hypotheticals out there. We don't know. Robert Saleh was smart to leave it open week to week. Best players play. That's how you build a culture. That's how you run a football team. That's how you not lose your locker room. LT writes in, some Jet fans need to calm down with Mike White. One game doesn't get you into the Hall of Fame. Glenn Foley once threw 415 yards for the Jets. I don't think Foley is in the Hall of Fame. Well, I can tell you if Glenn Foley's in the Hall of Fame there, LT. I got my Jets Hall of Fame mug right here. Curtis Martin, Don Maynard, Winston Hill, Kevin Mawai, John Riggins, Joe Namath, Lee Eubank. I don't see Glenn Foley here. Wonder why. That's because he was a one-hit wonder, as we all know. So let's just be patient with Mike White. I hope Mike White is here one day. I really do. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So let's just go week to week and see what he does, and let's be patient. I see CT is writing in here. Well, Wilson's has gotten us to 1-6 with awful offensive performance. CT is a rookie. He's played 6 games. Let's not ignore, once again, what Wilson did against the Titans. The 1 seed in the AFC. Remember that win? And let's not ignore what Wilson did in the second half against the Panthers, where he almost single-handedly brought the Jets back against a really good defense, despite the fact he was sacked like 10 times in that game. So got to be patient here. There's been good with Wilson. Like the idea that Wilson has just been terrible this entire year is utter nonsense, as Mike Francesa would say. It's not true. Has Wilson been good? No. But I can't sit here and tell you he's been god-awful. He's been horrendous. That's just not the case. He's had his moments. And he needs time. He needs experience. But I also think sitting for these 3 games is beneficial for him. I also think that, Wilson getting the chance to get some play calls from LaFleur up in the booth is going to be a good thing as well for this Jets team. Bear Salon writes in, Zach has raw talent, lots of it. The best thing that can happen is he starts the last 2 games of the season. I would like to see him start more than just the last 2 games of the season. Like, I would like to see Zach Wilson start the next 8 games of the year after this game. Unless Mike White goes out there and plays as well as he did against the Bengals. If that happens, then you ride the hot hand and you see what you have. But, this is a big but, Zach Wilson needs to play. So, let's see how it plays out. Because I'm telling you, Zach Wilson is going to come back from this injury here, and he's going to play a lot better because competition is going to bring out the best in Zach Wilson. This Mike White, Zach Wilson situation is a good thing long term. Nothing in the NFL should be handed to you. Mike White wants the job. That's going to light a fire under the ass of Zach Wilson. He's going to want to go out there and show everyone why he was picked 2nd overall. And if Mike White's truly the guy, then he's not going to give the job back. Like Tom Brady never gave the job back to Drew Bledsoe. Why? Because Tom Brady was that dude. Russell Wilson never gave the job back to Matt Flynn. Why? Because Russell Wilson was that dude. So if Mike White goes out there and he's that guy, then he won't give the job back. And that's not a bad thing either. I don't care if it's Wilson or White. I just want this team to find a franchise quarterback, right? I'm tired of not having a guy. If Wilson's the guy, I'm all in. If Mike White's the guy, I'm all in. But we don't know yet. And we especially don't know with Mike White yet. So let's be a little patient, Jet fans. Ultimately, the Jets have been searching for a franchise quarterback since the guy on my mug right here, number 12, Joe Willie Namath. So let's make sure that whoever the guy is, we support, because the Jets need a franchise quarterback. So if it's White or Wilson, hell, I don't care. I just want to see them find the guy. We'll take it week by week until they find that guy. I mean, we're making too much of this story without truly knowing enough information on how things are ultimately going to play out. I mean, that's just the reality here. Let's see what else you guys are thinking here. CT Bays, Jets certainly in no position to not have as many talented players and depth at a position. It's an excellent point. Are we really going to complain about talent on the roster? I mean, come on. Come on. Rich says he has that cup. Rich, it's a great cup. I was at the I'll tell the story on the YouTube show. So, true story. I had a wedding last year at at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It wasn't actually at the Hall of Fame, but it was in Canton, Ohio, right? Randomly, I had a wedding that was taking place in Canton, Ohio that I was invited to. So, I'm going to the wedding and I'm like, well, if I'm in Canton, I can't not go to the Hall of Fame when I'm there. So I wore my Joe Namath Broadway Joe t-shirt that I actually purchased from Joe Namath's website. So I wore that to the Hall of Fame and took a picture. This will show you how cool Joe Namath is, by the way. So I took a picture in my shirt next to the Namath Hall of Fame exhibit in Canton. So there's a game worn jersey from Joe, and it was really cool. So I took a picture standing next to that. I posted it on my Instagram and tagged Joe Namath's Instagram account. I received a direct message from Joe Namath, it was, his social media person, saying, "Hey, Jake, we'd love to post this on Joe's account, if that's okay." And I go, "Absolutely. But in exchange for posting the picture, I'm going to need you to ask Joe if he'd be willing to come on my radio show." And at the time, I was doing a daily show for Sports Map Radio, in the morning from 9 a to 11 a. And sure enough, got the contact information for Joe's manager, reached out. Within 2 days of me taking that picture in front of the Joe Namath exhibit in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Joe Namath called into the radio show and had an interview with Joe. That was one of the biggest moments of my broadcasting career, because in that interview, a lot of people watching this might remember Joe Namath at that time. It was when the Jets were 0-7, 0-8. So we knew where things were headed, right? They're going to be the worst team in the league. Trevor Lawrence is coming out. Jets are going to have to decide, do they move off of Sam Darnold to take Trevor Lawrence? It was very early on in that conversation, because no one going into 2020 thought the Jets were going to be the worst team in the NFL following a 7-9 season, right? As bad as Gase was, we didn't think it was going to be as bad as it ended up being last year. So I asked Joe on the radio show during the interview, if you're the Jets, would you take Trevor Lawrence if you're sitting there with the first pick? And he goes, "Well, I like Sam, but I've had to be thinking really hard about that. Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback, yada yada." New York media ran with that. It was the cover of Newsday. It was talked about on WFAN and ESPN New York. The Boomer and Geo show talked about it. Michael K show talked about it. Went everywhere. Every beat writer had to quote the Jake Asman show on Sports Map Radio from the Namath interview. So all because I went to the Hall of Fame because I had a wedding in Canton, Ohio, and posted a picture of me wearing my Joe Namath shirt at the Namath exhibit. Did I get Namath on the show? And then that interview went viral. It was the biggest interview in my career at that time that had gotten as much media attention. Since then, I've had Dana White, and I've had a lot of really cool interviews in my radio career. But that moment with Namath was just unbelievable because of the exposure that the show received at that time. And also, if you missed the interview, it's up on the YouTube channel somewhere. It was a great interview. We didn't just talk about, how bad the 2020 Jets were. We talked about the guarantee. We talked about Namath's career. We talked about him being an icon. We talked about all the great women that he slept with. I'm kidding about that last part. So it was an awesome interview, and Joe Namath's the man. And he's actually the reason why I'm a Jets fan, because my dad grew up going to games at Shea Stadium with his dad, and they loved Joe Namath. So it was a full circle moment for me at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So pretty cool stuff at the end of the day. Let's see what we got here. What else are you guys are thinking? Oh, Rich, following up, Jake's a legend. Congrats. Yeah, it was awesome. So it was a very cool moment to have that opportunity. Let's see what else you guys are thinking. Bear Salon. I love this show. Thank you. How can I get one of those cups? Well, I got mine actually at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like that was like the one thing I bought when I was there. I'm sure you could buy it online though. If you wanted a Jets Hall of Fame cup. It's not exactly like the Jets have so many Hall of Famers, but Winston Hill's on here. John, Riggins obviously played for the Jets, but he's not known as a Jet. Maynard is, Curtis Martin, obviously. Like, I'll tell you what, eventually we'll have Darrelle Revis on this cup. And me personally, and I'm biased because Nick Mangold's always been willing to come on my radio show, but I'm sorry, Nick Mangold's a Hall of Famer too. Like, if you watch Nick Mangold game in, game out, you knew his impact on those Jets teams that were really good. Like, remember the game against the Ravens on Sunday Night Football where Mangold was hurt? And like Mark Sanchez couldn't run the offense that night. It was embarrassing without Nick Mangold, how bad the offense was without him. So to me, Nick Mangold, he's an all-pro center, multiple-time Pro Bowler. Nick Mangold belongs in Canton one day as well. Let's see what we got here. CT writes in here, Wilson's got franchise starter potential. We need him to develop and find out till he reaches said potential. Yeah, he's going to get a chance to play again, guys. I think it's highly unlikely that Mike White is going to finish the year as the Jet quarterback, but we'll see how it plays out. VR writes in, I want to be Jake Asman when I grow up. VR, aim higher for that, man. I appreciate it, though, man. Thanks so much for supporting the show. Let's see. Brad writes in, the problem with Zach sitting is that he's not learning from a quality proven quarterback like Alex Smith. Mike White is not. Yeah, but Brad, that might be a little overrated in a sense that Mike White has been in the league now for 4 seasons. He's been in different offenses. He's bounced around. He's run different scout teams. He's a veteran. He's not quite Alex Smith, but you could still learn a lot from a guy like Mike White. Plus, Joe Flacco's in that room now. He's won a Super Bowl. I'm not really worried about like Zach not learning from like fellow quarterbacks. They got the coaching in the room to help him too. They brought in John Beck for him. Like I'm not worried about that aspect of it. I think Zach will sit from just getting a breather and just watching how someone else has run the offense the way it should be, right? Checking it down to the running back, throwing within the structure of the offense, getting the ball out quick. To me, Wilson's biggest problem when he was playing this year, he would hold on to the ball way too long. He would try to play hero ball at times, like throw the ball downfield when he didn't have to, like take the check down. Look how effective Michael Carter and Ty Johnson have been in these games the last couple of weeks. That's all checking the ball down, getting the balls to your playmaker in space. Like these are all good things. And I think Zach will benefit from watching somebody go out there and do his thing. VR writes in, this is a cool story. My dad took me to the last Jets game in Shea Stadium, ran on the field after we lost, and got my patch of grass. VR, that is awesome. I hope you still have that patch of grass somewhere. CT Bays writes in, CT's been the star of this live chat today. He's got some good points here. The last 2 weeks let me know that the OC system is QB friendly. That's the real development. Wilson has the most talent. We can win with him even if he's not elite. What we have seen is that Mike LaFleur is not a dunce. So I have to say this because I was one of the many critical of Mike LaFleur. I wasn't saying fire the guy like as many of you fellow Jet fans probably were in my comments that I read after every video. But Mike LaFleur has proven up in the booth, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. I'm not going to say that he's, the second coming of Bill Walsh just yet. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's Mike Martz or, he's Mike Shanahan up there, but he's pretty good. This offense has worked, and Zach has gotten a chance to see this offense work through 2 different quarterbacks. That's going to benefit him ultimately when he comes back. Joey B writes in, Chipotle brisket and Mike White, perfect together. I agree. If you have not had the Chipotle brisket, my guy Joey B knows it's strong. It is good. I was a little skeptical, especially living here in Houston, Texas, where I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, I get good barbecue down here all the time. It's pretty good. I would try it. Now, I heard it's going away, though. So I don't know if they're going to make it permanent or not at some point, but I heard it's going away, so we shall see. But Mike White and Chipotle brisket, perfect combo. If the Jets win on Sunday, the Chipotle will taste ever so sweeter. It really does. After every win, the Chipotle tastes that much better. Bear Salon writes, can you play back the Namath interview? I could post a link to it in the comments after this if I remember to do that. So if you haven't heard the Namath interview from last year, I recognize a lot of you are probably new to my YouTube channel, maybe haven't followed my radio career outside of YouTube. So I will post the full Namath interview in the comments as soon as possible. Joey B writes in, Jake, how do we watch and chat with the Wheelhouse Show? Joey B, great question. So for those who only know me from the Jets, I host the afternoon show on ESPN Radio here in Houston. The show's on from 3 to 7 p.m. Central Time, so 4 to 8 Eastern. You could watch and chat with the show by going on Twitch, twitch.tv/ESPN975, and you could watch and chat with the show. There's a bunch of people that interact on Twitch every single day. You can also text in, but if you want to actually interact with listeners watching the show, Twitch would be your place for doing exactly that. Bear Salon writes in, is Debrika Shaw a Hall of Famer? I don't think he's a first ballot guy. It might take him a while. Look, by the way, a name I mentioned as I'm thinking this, you know who also should be in the Hall of Fame? Joe freaking Klecko should be in the Hall of Fame. Guy made a Pro Bowl at 3 different positions. Joe Klecko should be in the Hall of Fame. It is a crime against humanity that Joe Klecko is not in the Hall of Fame. As far as Debrika Shaw, I love Brick. He's a Long Island guy like I am. Freeport's finest. He's the man. I think Debrika should get some consideration as well. The guy never missed a game. He never missed a snap other than a trick play at one point in his career. The guy was as good of a Jets draft pick as they've made. And think about it. That 2006 draft that the Jets had set them up for the runs they made in 08, 09, and 2010 with, Brett Favre 8-3 till the injury, and then obviously championship game appearances with Rex and Sanchez. That O-line was as good as any, and Brickashaw and Mangold in the first round in 2006, as good of a Jets first-round draft as they have had. I hope we look back on this past year's class, 2021, and we say Zach Wilson and AVT, the best first-round crop of Jets draft picks since Debrick and Nick Mangold, no doubt about it. What do we got here? Trying to go through the comments here. Appreciate all you guys for checking this out today as I try and get caught up on the comments here. Tony G writes in, Long Island, piff. I don't know what that means, Tony G. I'm a Syosset native, though, for all my fellow Long Islanders. Also, anyone in Houston that watches these videos, we are starting a New York Islanders of Houston Jet fan. We are starting an Islanders in Houston watch party fan club. Our first meeting was last night. We watched the Islanders go out there and get their ass kicked by the New Jersey Devils. That was not fun. But if you are a Houston resident and you are also a New York Islanders fan, message me, Twitter at Jake Asman, or you can email me, asmanjake@gmail.com, and I'll put you in touch with the person that's organizing the Islanders in Houston fan page. It's not quite the Jets in Houston people, different group, but I mean, I'm sure there's some crossover there as well. Let's see. Klecko needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Damn right, Michael. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, to me, it's criminal that he's not in the Hall of Fame. How can you tell me that a guy who made the Pro Bowl at 3 different positions is not a Hall of Famer? I mean, come on. The numbers back it up. Anyone that watched Klecko would tell you the same thing. He belongs in Canton, Ohio. Make no mistake about it. Belongs there. Needs to be there. All about Joe Klecko. I see we got some draft talk now. I'm starting to think Lindenbaum won't make it out of the top 10. For those who don't know, that's the stud center out of Iowa. Christopher writes in, Lindenbaum, Hutchinson, and Gardner for the first 3 picks in the 2022 draft. I don't know if Lindenbaum makes it out of the top 5 the way some people are starting to talk about him. So could the Jets go that route with their pick? They could. I guess it depends on where the Jets are picking at the end of the day. I think they're going to win some games here down the stretch, though. I've been very open about that. I think the Jets win at least 4 more games this season. They got games against the Dolphins twice, Jacksonville, Houston, Philadelphia. Like there's winnable games at the end of the season for the Jets coming up here over the last 9 games. Right now, the Jets have the 3rd overall pick in the draft. They also have Seattle's pick, as we all know, thanks to Seattle getting absolutely fleeced by Joe Douglas. Right now, the Jets are picking number 3 and number 11. I don't think the Jets are going to end up with a top 5 pick the way the year is going to play out. So we shall see. Maybe they can move up for one of those guys if they truly want them, just because you have all the draft picks to do it. You have 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. But I think it might be difficult to get Linderbaum based on what we have seen. His stock already start to rise, and we're not even in position here, to truly evaluate it just kind of how the board's going to play out. VR writes in, what do you think about all these NFL upsets so far? What do I think? I mean, week to week, man, any given Sunday. How about the Dolphins beating the Ravens? Let me tell you this. I just watched the Dolphins. Unfortunately for my job, I had to watch the Dolphins-Texans game this past Sunday. There were 9 turnovers in that game. It was the most turnovers in an NFL game in 5 years or 6 years. The last time there were that many turnovers in a game was that infamous Jets at the Chiefs game after the Jets had this incredible win on Thursday Night Football where Ryan Fitzpatrick played great against his old team. And then he threw 6 picks against the Chiefs the following week. And Todd Bowles refused to bench him. And he just stuck with Fitz, which was just criminal in that game. That was the most turnovers in that Dolphins and Texans game since that Jets game. So, I mean, it's wild that Miami shut down the Ravens last night on Thursday Night Football, but like the Bills just lost to the Jaguars. Denver just smoked the Cowboys. Hell, the Titans, who are really good, as we all know, they smoked the Rams, who we all thought was maybe the best team in the NFC. So, any given Sunday, it's been true. That's why you see what happens on Sunday in regards to the Jets and the Bills. You never know. We shall see what happens here. Chris writes in, I say most likely trade out a first pick so we could double/triple dip in the O-line. It's an option. But if the Jets are picking in the top 10 and the Jets have the option to go out there and have that second pick from Seattle they could use to maneuver to go up and get someone, let's see. I'll say this. If the Jets don't use at least 2 of their first 4 picks on offensive linemen, I'd be surprised. Let's go over it once again. You got 2 first-round picks. You got 2 second-round picks. You got 2 fourth-round picks. I'd be shocked if the Jets are not using at least 2 of those first 4 picks on offensive linemen. I think we're going to see a new center and a new guard. Kenyon Green out of A&M's the guard I like the most. Obviously, I'd be thrilled if the Jets could go out there and get the center out of Iowa that everyone seems to love, but I just don't know how realistic that is. The board is going to drastically shift between now and when it's time to actually make the picks in late April. Anthony writes in, Mike White beats Buffalo, then he's officially QB1. Well, let's see. Let's see how he plays against Buffalo. I've talked about this a lot in today's video. It's week to week. Let's be patient and see how it ultimately will play out. With that being said, I want to thank everyone who took time to watch today's show. Appreciate all of you. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. If you're new, you can help me out over here by subscribing. I'm trying to get to 8,000 subscribers. I'm coming up on that number. That'd be a huge milestone to be able to hit over the weekend coming up. We will have a live Jets postgame show following Jets and the Bills on Sunday. So looking forward to reacting to the Mike White experience. Is he going to Canton, Ohio? Is Mike White the next Tom Brady? I guess we'll find out maybe on Sunday how he does against the Bills. If you want to interact with me, you could follow me on Twitter as well, at Jake Asman. It's just my name, A-S-M-A-N. It's pronounced Asman, as in A-Z-M-I-N, Jake Asman. Thanks so much to everyone who took time to watch today's show. Go Jets, and let's see what happens on Sunday, folks. Not a bad problem to maybe have 2 quarterbacks who are competent. I'm looking forward to that conversation if we get the chance to have it. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Friday. See you later. Enjoy everything that life has to offer, including Ithaca College football. Go Bombers. Take down SUNY Cortland tomorrow in the Cortaca Jug. See ya.